Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
You know, I'd like to read just a short excerpt from a book that I was given about Chief Joseph. Now, many of you are familiar with this spiritual leader of the 1800s, but he was allowed to go to Washington, D.C. to plead to Congress to allow his people to return to their homeland because they had been removed. This was in 1879, and while there, he did grant an interview, which was first printed in the North American Review in April of 1879. Chief Joseph said, "Our father gave us many laws, which they had learned from their fathers. These laws were good. They told us to treat all men as they treated us, that we should never be the first to break a bargain, that we should only speak the truth, that it was a shame for one man to take from another his wife or his property without paying for it. We were taught to believe that the Great Spirit sees and hears everything, that those things are never forgotten, and that hereafter every man will have a spiritual home. If he has been a good man, he will have a good home. If a bad man, he will have a bad home. This I believe, and all my people believe the same." Have things changed very much from 1879? As spiritualists, we often question or are asked by new friends, why do we seem to have so many Native American guides as our spirit guides? Here's the truth. Here is the truth. These people did not have anything to teach them except the tradition, the stories and the teachings of generations before. And yet, with the exception about the wife of business, isn't everything very appropriate for today? Laws. You know, some people don't like laws, or they think, well, they're good for other people, but surely I can be the exception. Surely I can get away with this and nobody will mind. My office has so many supplies, a whole storeroom full. What difference does it make if I take a Post-it note or a pack of Post-it notes? Gee, now that I see that little box of paper clips, I need some at home. They can't cost that much. I put in a lot of extra work here. I can just take these home. If you purchase something in a store and they mistakenly give you a lesser price, how do you feel about that? Is it, yeah, good, I got something over on somebody, or, well, you know, I work hard, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I? If I go back and tell them about it, I'll probably just get someone in trouble anyway. You know, we can justify the worst behavior if we try hard enough. I know, because I can justify nearly any dessert. I can break down those ingredients and justify every bit of it. Does that mean I'm immune from natural law? Of course not. My weight every time I get on the scale proves that. us are immune. And you know, although we started off here talking about doing negative things and thinking it's all right, or thinking we can get away with it, natural law never fails with good things either. We know that when we do a kindness to someone, that is going to ripple outward. And you know, at some point in our lives, that will come back to us in a very positive and a very powerful way. Now, that's not why we do the kindness in the first place. That would defeat the purpose if we were doing anything just for what it was going to give to me. What am I going to get out of this? But when you give with a loving heart, when you care about other people, when you try to help other people, don't you find that coming back to you over and over again? Sure you do. Now sometimes there is that little glitch that we call timing, because sometimes it seems to take so long for everything to balance out. In that time frame, what are we learning? Are we continuing to know that our Creator is with us? Are we continuing to know that we are not walking this path alone? Sometimes the delays can be extremely frustrating. I get that. But have you noticed, sometimes the longer the delay, the greater the reward. I have to tell you a silly example of natural law. My mother and Jim and I were at a hospital, and everywhere they have these little foam container things, and there are signs everywhere encouraging people to use these to wash their hands. So my mother did that and got spattered, which fortunately padded right off. Well, the next day, I was telling my husband about that, and I said, she was such a good sport, and it did pat right off, but it was kind of funny. Don't make fun of your mom. Less than 24 hours later, Ron and I were visiting a friend at the church in the hospital. Different hospital, same kind of containers. And I said, well, you know, we should do this because we've been out and running around. I was covered. I was covered, which wasn't entirely bad because it gave the patient a good hearty laugh. And I walked in looking like the abominable snowman. Natural law, you know. It'll come back and get you one way or the other. Rather it's silly things like that, rather it's negative, or if you've done something wonderful.